Hello everyone, and welcome to part number 3 of the Blood Feud in Transylvania DLC for Steel Division 2. This time looking at another Romanian division on the Allied side, as yes, they have switched over completely and 3 new Romanian divisions all coming for the Allies. This one being the 9th Infantry, and we're gonna start in the Recon tab as always, where we get a lot of familiar Romanian faces. We get Kalarazi, we get the SPW, with 20mm. We get an AB Horch, so good amount of 20mm here, available in A and B phase. And you also get Ceritasi a not so recommendable unit. No great vehicles here for them. And they are not a great squad themselves, with only one automatic rifle. You kind of want them to fight for 25 points, but they're not that good at fighting, so I would not recommend them. Rather take maybe a 20-point sniper squadron instead with the Lunatists. Or if you want radio, the BMW is your option for that, as sadly the other options don't bring radio in the Recon tab. So if you want radios here, you get them with the motorbike. Then in the Infantry tab, you go with some other familiar faces. Infanterists and Recruiti are back in this division as well. Infanteristi, not the best of the Romanian infantry, rather on the low end. You get the Jorka GB, you get the ZB24, which are standard bolt action rifles, and like the Recruiti, which will get the Manali here, which are straight pullback. Difference is that the straight pullback have a bit better accuracy, which makes them a better DPS unit in general. GB standard bolt action rifle, not so great in damage output. Orida also mediocre SMG. So in general, a classic 20-point 10-man squadron with 9, 18, 27. Nothing amazing here. Infanterists with Panzerfaust, slightly worse availability. So on veterancy, it doesn't matter. It's the exact same on veterancy. So I would still say take these and pick them with 1-star veterancy if you want the Infanteristi. Recruiti, similar thing. But they have the better rifle, as we explained. And they have better availability as well. So I would recommend taking them instead of the Infanteristi maybe. Though sadly you only get them on lowest vet. And they are disheartened. So yeah, upvetting them with a leader is kind of key to get them better. The leader you get here is okay. 20 points is nice. 4 hit points is fine, but the weapons obviously are not so great. It doesn't have smoke, so utility is not really there. But it's a solid leader in general. Also, no great options here for the transport. Then we have a new unit, the Ishipa Assault, and these are pretty strong pioneers. Solid availability for pioneers. 12, 6, 12, 18 on 1 vet. Also normal for transport. 14-man squadron. TNT. 2 GBs is nice. 4 Oritas is nice. 14 hit points is really nice because against other TNT units, these guys survive a TNT, whilst the others might die. So that is quite helpful. And that makes these a pretty good TNT option, especially with the availability they go with. And they can fire on mid-ranges quite well as well. So Ishipa Assault you always will take. You only get 1 card, so you have to pick where you want them wisely, as these will boost up that phase where you bring them in quite well. Then Lieutenant Pioneery. These bring the smoke, cost 5 point more than the Lieutenant Infantry. Bring 1 more hit point, bring smoke. Solid leader, worthwhile considering. Then normal Pioneery. And these obviously kind of stink in comparison, as you get lower availability. And you get less SMGs and 4 less hit points. But at least you get an MG34, which is a decent MG. And yeah, if you want to use 2 Pioneer cards, you take them in another phase than the Ishipa Assault, just so you have more TNT around. Then Mandatory Motto, which are a classic infantry unit as well, that we already know. 2 GB, and GB 30, 6 GB 24, 2 Oritas. Basically your kind of version of Panzer Grenadiers in the Romanian decks. Not too amazing. You get a couple of half tracks in this deck. You only get 9, so you can take it for 1 A phase card of infantry. We can get a couple of half tracks in, which is somewhat helpful. But the unit itself is decent. 25 points to, like, somewhat close to Rifle Piats, I guess. They have a Panzerfaust instead of a Piat. And they have Aritas instead of stands, which is quite nice. But still not the most amazing unit. It's 10 hit points. Yeah, it's a unit you take, but not a unit you really want. And then Lieutenant Assault, 6-man leader, 30 points though. You get a Panzerfaust and 1 extra point over the 25-point leader, but at this point, I don't know. 25 points is usually where I want to end with leaders. The other one is a double sniper though, and that is worthwhile 30 points. Yeah, this is a really good leader. And you can get them on a nice transport as well, as you get 20-point Kreuzstummel with a short barrel gun, which in combo with these can be pretty nice as well. In the B phase 1 you can take them all with all 6, and you get 6 sniper leaders, so yeah, this could be a really nice leader loadout if you want to go with this. And you get a couple of extra armored vehicles on top of this, which can be quite helpful. Tank tab, you get some classic German tanks, some Panzerforce and some Stucks. The Panzerforce have heat shells for the Romanians, but sadly these heat shells lately are not that great anymore. Back when they had 2000 meter range and you could cycle through different ammo types to fire faster, this was really strong. Nowadays, as these only have 1500 meter range and bad accuracy, I won't recommend trying to do anything special with the heat. It's just there on top, but it's not really adding anything anymore, as it has same damage, less penetration, so not really worthwhile thinking about too much. Yeah, Stuck, decent, Panzer IV, decent. That's basically it there. Support tab, you get a lovely new unit though, and it's an absolute gorgeous unit, and I would love a petition for the Ford Sedan to go up to 135 kmh. That's its top speed, and this unit wouldn't hurt anyone if it would go faster. But I feel like it deserves to go faster than everything else, as it's just an absolute gorgeous unit based on an absolutely gorgeous vehicle, and it would be funny if it would be the fastest unit in the game with 135 kmh just driving around. You can't rush enemies with it, as it doesn't have any weapons. It's not a transport option for anything. It's just a commander for the Romanians, and it would be lovely to have this coming around in the top speed. Then you also get Gendarmerie, which sadly have horrible availability. Otherwise a solid unit, but the availability really ruining them. The Glakari flamethrowers, quite helpful. MG34s and GB53s. GB53s now with 1250 meter range. Costing a bit more as well, with 30 points. Worthwhile considering. They have better suppression rates than the MG34. And these can be quite nice. I kind of like them now. Hotchkiss is here as well. Those are a bit overpriced. Ford supply truck, decent supply truck. And then you get Tatras, normal commanders as well. But next to the Ford, they all stink. You really just want the Ford. Anti-tank, you get good options as well. You get Panzerschrecks. You get Vanatori Decare with TNT, which can really fit in well with your other infantry, as you don't have Panzerschrecks on those. So yeah, mixing them in with your other infantry is really helpful. TNT on top of this, also really nice. Super good unit. Schneider, anti-tank gun, mediocre. But you have Pak 38, you have a Takam, which is basically pretty close to an SU-76 as a Sis-3 gun as well. Is slightly faster, has slightly better frontal armor. But yeah, you get a bit less availability and than on the SUs, I think. But still pretty good availability. Solid price for a good tank destroyer. And you'll get 2 cards of the best anti-tank gun currently in the game. The Regida is really, really strong. Availability obviously is not the most amazing, but this is absolutely shredding. 15 penetration on the 2000 meter, 15 rate of fire on a 2000 meter gun with HE, smoke, and great AP shells. 160mm being enough for 95% or 99% of the tanks, basically. Only the IS-2s, the top level IS-2s and the King Tigers really can resist this. So Regida really great, can annihilate tank columns on its own within split seconds, basically. So, highly recommend taking both cards of these, and then the Takam, and then maybe you have to think about more. Like, maybe Vegeta, Pack 38, and Vanatori Dekari could also be an option with the first 5 slots or so. But Vegetas are a must in every deck that has them. AA is one of the big weaknesses of this deck. At least the Hotchkiss is somewhat decent. The 20mm here is pretty bad. But yeah, AA is something you really will struggle with. Artillery, not so much. You have 60mm mortars, which always do a good job. You get a hell of a lot of them. And you get your classic artillery leader and observer. Mortars, which you don't want to take if you have 80mm mortars. Soviet F-22s can be decent maybe for counter battery and keeping the enemy busy, but not really something I want too badly in this deck. Then the 75mm with radio. Good rate of fire. But I don't like these guns too much. I'd rather take these guns, as they have pretty good rate of fire as well. And the HE damage here is quite a lot higher. Plus as well, so the 100mm is usually what I would go with. But yeah, these are, I guess, solid as well. I would take them over the F-22s, as you have higher rate of fire. And you don't have smoke, which is a bit annoying on either of these. Which is the advantage of the F-22. But the radio here is also really helpful. And then you get a good off-map with the 105mm. It's a cheap off-map. It's not a great damage off-map, but it's a pretty good pin one. And it's really cheap, so I highly recommend taking this in one of the relatively affordable slots here as well. You just run out of slots eventually, but you don't take 6 artillery pieces anyways in most decks. Air tap is in the hands of one plane, and that is the IAR-81. Comes in as a fighter version, it comes in as a light fighter bomber, it comes in as a heavy fighter bomber, and it comes in as a rocket plane. And then you get one card of HE-111s, but with medium resilience and a bad availability curve. I can't recommend these to you. The IAR-37 also feels a bit overpriced for a recon plane that is super slow and has bad resilience. So this is also not something I can recommend. The availability is nice, but I would say make this 40 points, then I come back considering it. And yeah, the IARs are good fighters, just a bit slow, but you can afford them easily. You get good availability on them. Like, everything here is nice. Availability on these things is also great, so I highly recommend these as well. And you have a lot of air slots for the IAR. You can really flood the enemy in IARs in this deck, which is something that I for sure will test out. You know me, everyone, I'm an air spammer, so yeah. If you don't want to miss that air spamming, consider following and subscribing so that you see when that video is going online. But more DLC divisions coming online first, more previews, so let me know down below what you think about the divisions so far, what you think about the 9th Infantry, and which division you want to see next. With that said, hope to see you all next time. Bye bye, and have a great day.